I've never held a mic before, so it's going to be very awkward probably, because I'm used to talking with my hands and not my mouth, but I'll try to be better, I guess. But yeah, I kind of renamed the lecture a bit because I didn't want to, well, shit on the ads or on the whole idea of that, because they are important, but I wanted to focus more on building your brand and understanding who you are, who you're targeting, and what you're trying to achieve before you invest money into ads. And yeah, there we go. So the lecture is going to be about brand foundations. I also try to make it for everyone, and regardless of your background. So there are a few different kind of chapters I want to take you through. The first one is the warm-up, to try to kind of, get you comfortable with me. And then we're going to talk about the problem of why you shouldn't just like push a big budget into ads and then, wait for the magic to happen. Then I'm going to talk about the foundations, which is the whole concept of this lecture, and then a bit about the audience who you're trying to reach, and then possible next steps for you or your brand or whatever else. But yeah, let's start with the warm-up. I'm Stefan. I am a co-founder of Design Zajednica here, but I also run a design studio, which is called Teeny Studio by my cat. Teeny like Martini, but Teeny wacky. But the idea I have with the studio is to keep everything under one roof, which is brand strategy, brand design, and then product design, because I'm also employed as a senior product designer in a huge Indian conglomerate. And I'm not a fan of such corporations, so I have my own tiny thing. I try to take brands through the whole thing, like from an idea to launch, and then hopefully also after launch, but not everyone wants to pay to have a designer always available, which is perfectly fine and normal. But today we're going to focus mostly on the first part, which is the brand strategy. I'll give you some tips and tricks on what you can do on your own without hiring extra help, just to kind of get you going with your brand. We have a saying in Serbia that every Serb has a dream to start their own coffee place, or to be an owner or a founder or whatever. So this is where the idea came from. It's gonna be mostly about, let's say, digital products, but the case study is going to be about a physical product. Haha. So yeah, I skipped a bit over different things, but we work on a lot of things. So I don't speak Russian, but I think I understood when different speakers ask you to raise your hand to identify yourself. I think it came from stand-up comedy to warm up the audience. So has anyone worked on or defined brand positioning before? Oh, wow. Shit. Don't fact check me. Yeah, but thank you for participating. So yeah, let's start. So by the way, this was a very colorful presentation before, but because of the previous experience with projectors and colors, now it's black and white. I do wear color sometimes. But there is a loop, or let's say a process that happens more often than not, which is that companies set a budget that's usually very big, and then they pay for the ads, they generate the traffic, but then there's no conversion, or the conversion is low. Or there is a conversion and then people just start dropping out from signing up or doing whatever else. And here the question is what is the missing link? Why is this happening? How can we fix this? And there are a few things. We're going to focus on 3 of these things that every brand kind of needs to answer for themselves, which is who they are, what they offer, what they promise, and why should the audience or the users choose you and not me or a competitor. And these things are called the foundation. So if you see a little light bulb in the bottom left corner, if it's not too tiny, it's like a reminder, like the most important thing from this slide. And from this one is to just remember to set the foundation before you start paying for the ads or promoting or whatever. Exciting. Woo. How do we do this? How do we set the foundation? And here we are. There are 3 levels that I'm going to cover today. They are not necessarily levels because one is harder than the other, but because when I was working on this with different brands and with my brand, this was like a natural progression, let's say, through the whole thing. So the first one is who you are, which is, to me, probably the most difficult one, kind of. It's about understanding your biggest strengths, or what is the core of your brand, of you, or your offering. And it's not something you wish to have. So it's not something like, I'm a design founder or like a art director, but in 5 years I'm going to be this. It's rather, what am I today that's going to offer something to you guys? So there are 3 things you can ask yourself to kind of help you get going, which is, what problems do we solve best, or do I solve best? Then number 2 is, what makes your approach different or unique, or what kind of approach is it even? And 3, what does your best client say about you? For some people who are just getting started, and I understand this is probably a very difficult question if you don't have the client, but at some point you will have clients, and then this will be an integral step of your process. And yeah, 2 things you should remember is that a lot of people who we work with, they just say, oh, we are for everyone. Oh, my product targets everyone here in the audience. Sure, there are brands that can do that, like Instagram, for example. Obviously, my mom uses it, my grandma used to use it, my friends use it. So like, it targets everyone because their offering is huge and they can cover those things. However, the reality is we are not for everyone, and we need to find out very specifically who we are for. Then here we are, who we are for. That's the tricky one. And there are a few things, again, that I wanted to kind of point out as the questions, let's say, to ask yourself when you're building the idea, which is, who has this problem? Like, we are solving X, who is facing this on a daily basis? Then how do these people make decisions, and what language do they use? We're not talking English, Serbian, Russian, but rather like in terms of business or in terms of whatever else. So who has the problem? What industry they're in, what size is their company, what's their role, what problems keep them up at night, like what is it they're facing on a daily basis? Then how do they make decisions? This is it's like, if it's a corporation, it probably has like tens of layers. There's a lot of people who need to make a decision or to approve of the decision or the idea they had. Or if it's like a startup, it means they want something very fast. They want it immediately. And what do they care about the most? And finally, what language do they use? It's like, if we are talking to a developer, we need to communicate in a certain way. If you're talking to a designer, you need to communicate in a certain way. If it's a marketeer, and so on. So just kind of understanding approximately, or as precisely as possible, who it is will kind of help you prepare the ad in the right way. And then finally, what you promise. Well, this is probably, I don't know, I had a difficult time with this slide because it was, I don't know, difficult to explain what I meant, but basically it's, what I wanted to say is that the promise is not a tagline or something that's like a slogan for your brand or whatever. Slogan is a different thing, and all they can sound amazing, but here it's like, you shouldn't say something like fast, reliable, result-driven. You should be very specific with your promise. Like, it's a literal promise. Like, marketing campaigns delivered in 7 days instead of 4 weeks. So it's like a very specific outcome that the audience can expect if they work with you. So here we have 3 different questions again, which is, what is changing for this user or this owner if they work with you? Then what problem is being solved for them? And finally, what will they be able to do that they couldn't have done before? Cool. And then finally, these, again, this was a colorful slide. We want to align these things to kind of make sure that we set the foundation. And if you can't notice, this is a house that's smiling. Like a. But yes, who you are, who you're for, and what is the promise. And when you do understand all of these things, you will have the foundation to start investing into those ads and targeting the right people. I mean, I'm sure if you use Instagram, or probably everyone now has ads, but you're scrolling and then like ads keep popping up and you're like, what is this? I've never ever engage in this content, but I'm being targeted. But it's probably because, not probably, but it is because people, when they start paying for ads, and I'm guilty of this, I have no idea about ads, or I used to not have ideas. So when I tried promoting my studio, I was just like, all right, I'm gonna target Western Europe. I'm gonna target people that are 25 to 35 years old in Rotterdam. And then, like, there's a lot of people who are also not designers or who are just simply human beings living there. And it pops up on their screen and they're just like not interested. So it also kind of, sorry for the word, but fucks your algorithm and the whole performance because it's not specific. There's no tangible output from it because it's, just unspecific. But yes, we want to set this foundation or to align these things to be able to set it. So I'm going to show you a good example and a bad example of this. So let's say you're a marketing agency. So who you are fast, you're fast, you turn things around in days and not weeks. Who needs this? Companies launching new products with tight deadlines, or startups burning through runway who can't wait 3 months for a campaign. And what do you promise? You promise a marketing execution in half the time without sacrificing quality. So these are like very well-defined things that kind of set this foundation. But the bad example is just like to kind of illustrate where the mismatch can happen, because the bad example does not mean that everything is wrong and you're like royally fucked with your idea, but rather you're just like targeting the wrong people because it seems exciting, let's say. Like, I'm working in a corporation and then I'm very excited to work with startups now because I want to change my environment, for example. But then I keep targeting the enterprise companies, but I want to offer them something very fast that's going to have like a 7-day turnaround. And I mean, in 7 days with a corporation, probably you can't even get like 2 meetings in, and it's just going to drag along. Or the wrong promise, if you target a startup that has these urgent or fast-paced timelines, you can promise them like strategic thinking and comprehensive research and audit and whatnot. But this obviously requires weeks. And in this environment, people expect to move very fast and very efficiently to kind of just move, basically. The reality is that if you have a good brand, what I said in the beginning, you're not going to be for everyone. There are going to be people who are look at it and who are just going to say, okay, this is like shit, or this is not for me, or oh, what are these people doing? So it's going to repel some people, obviously, but you're not really interested in that. You're never going to be able to satisfy everyone, and our goal here is to focus on who you are attracting and how to attract them. Audience. With generic brands, generic brands, they try to appeal to everyone because probably they're scared to kind of close the doors, let's say, or on some of the users. They do not strongly target one group, but rather try to communicate with everyone. The leads they get are low quality because it's usually someone who's just like checking for a month or two to see how this works, or if they fit in, they're going to cancel the subscription. Naturally the conversion rate is low because I am a low conversion rate user to a lot of different things because they offer like a free month that I can test something, and then I test it, and then, I see that I'm not the right fit for this. But if you're very specific, you're not going to get me to sign up. You're going to directly pay for this ad to reach the person who's going to convert and who's going to stay with your brand. You're going to have fewer leads, obviously, but those are going to be the so-called high quality ones. And it's just going to be better clients all around. Your audience makes these decisions. You can't position effectively if you don't know how they think or who they are. And then for corporations and their procurement, like how they make decisions, they need documentation. They want a lot of case studies and those like results and impact to make a decision. They require security certification, and there are different like emotional feelings that your brand is expected to make to reach corporations. And then if they're startup founders, they want to decide quickly, they trust their gut. So it's like if you convince them in the first message, they're just gonna be like, I can see myself in this. They respond to your story as a founder. And again, it's like very personality driven and just like, yeah, fast. Oops. And then there are 3 types of questions we can answer to kind of understand this audience, which is how long do they research? Do they decide in days, or do they just like spend, I don't know, like months again going through these layers? Who needs to approve of this decision to buy my product or subscribe to my service? Is it one person or is it like a hierarchy? And what is the biggest concern? Is it like speed? Is it the budget? Is it the quality? Or is it something completely different? And yeah, I mean, how do you stand out? It's by being different. And I guess all of the things we covered before this slide is what should kind of set you up to understand what makes you or your brand different for your audience. Common positioning mistakes. Again, you're trying to be everything and for everyone. Also for the second one, I'm more than guilty. It's like copying competitors, and I know I want to run a design studio, and I can name tens of design studios that I think are amazing, doing amazing work, communicate amazingly, and then I spend like hours on their website trying to see what it is, and then I try to apply it, but then I have one employee and then contractors, and these design studios have like tens or 50 plus employees. I mean, I can't do it, right? And then if it's like a software or a product company, they always lead with features, which is that they promise this specific feature that's attractive today without like the long-term plan or something that's on a deeper level, because the feature can get outdated or it can just stop being useful after some time. I mean, products change. I didn't want to focus a lot on the visuals because I do tend to, but I just wanted to kind of show that this whole strategy can be applied or should be applied to the visual side of things. And then if your strategy says approachable alternative to corporate competitors, and your visuals still stay corporate or like from Unsplash or Pexels or something that's very generic, I mean, you're not hitting who you're trying to reach, even though it communicates kind of the audience. But if it says, we are the approachable alternative, and then show something warmer, something more of a casual kind of meetup, let's say, or a team building, that already kind of steps over the hurdle. And I guess this is like an even more complex topic, because the brand that lives on the internet is what speaks 24/7 to your users, and there is no Stefan to kind of say, oh, no, you like misunderstood, let me explain this for you. But it kind of lives on Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever else you're communicating. So you should definitely try to translate the foundation into this. Whew. Next steps. There are 3 tests that I do for myself or with different brands that I'm trying to work with, which is the stranger test. And I usually use like my mom or someone like that to kind of see if she can get it. And basically the stranger test is like when I design a website or some type of material for promotion, I give it to someone who has never heard of this before, and I give them like 30 seconds to kind of scan through it. And if they have no idea what's happening, well, it shows I did not a very good job. And there are 3 basic questions like, what do you do, who is it for, or why is it different? And usually you'll see, especially in like software as a service industry, you'll see a lot of like taglines and everything explained in like the hero part of the website, for example. The referral test, which is what I mentioned in the beginning, like what do these best clients say about you? For me, this was actually quite interesting because I was always scared to ask people I worked with, what do they think about collaborating with me as a designer? But when I started doing this, I kind of understood what they valued in our communication and like why did like no one is a unique designer and no one is providing like the best design services on the planet. I mean, we are, but for our specific customer. And everyone can say this, like every design studio and every designer, because this is very subjective. So it really made a big difference when I talked with them and when I understood what made them pick me and what made them stay with me as their designer or someone who takes care of their brand. And then the competitor test, I know I said you shouldn't copy them, but then you should also be realistic because especially if you're just starting your brand or your product, there's already a bunch of different brands that are very successful. So why not understand what their strengths are, weaknesses, opportunities, like the SWOT analysis, and kind of just take something from them or see how you can position yourself differently from them. Maybe it's in terms of colors, maybe it's in terms of, again, the audience in a slight way. Not obviously they are not going to be your competitor if it's a completely different audience, but there's always something to learn. Yes, so from foundation to marketing, number one thing to remember, build this foundation, understand who you are, who you're for, and what you promise. Then translate that into your messaging, like what to say, how to say it, and then who to say it to. And three, well, invest into those ads I told you not to invest in the beginning. Action plan for you is number one, to audit your positioning, do those 3 tests, like the stranger test, the referral test, and the competitor test. Answer those 3 key questions from the foundation, align it with your brand in terms of design for your website, social media, however else you're communicating, and then just apply it to your marketing. It sounds very simple. And it actually is. I mean, it just like takes time and you shouldn't rush jumping into the ads if you haven't answered the questions before. And if you have this clear positioning, it also gives you the competitive advantage over other people, and it gives you the longevity in the industry because you'll then have the analysis, you'll have the numbers, and you'll be able to kind of go back and understand based on the analytics what's going wrong for you and how to kind of step over the hurdle you're facing at the time. And this is the case study I wanted to mention. And it's like it's about my favorite coffee shop in Belgrade. And I purposely put it there because it's completely different from like the digital world and from what I'm working on a daily basis. And this is what inspired me actually to come up with this, let's say, lecture. And so who they were, it was an owner who deeply cares about specialty coffee, his coffee shop, and then his customers. It's a very small local thing in my neighborhood, and he talks with everyone. He's super kind, everything is nice. Who therefore, it's like coffee enthusiasts or anyone who loves very good coffee. And then what do they promise? It's consistently great coffee from someone who's passionate, warm, inviting, welcoming, and so on. So what happened is that naturally, like when you get a lot of customers and you get tired. I mean, he works 7 days a week for like 8 to 10 hours. He needs to clean everything, come before opening, and so on. So when you get tired, you start hiring people to do the business for you. And then the customers kind of dropped off or stopped coming to the coffee shop at some point. And, like our first instinct was that, like the hype is gone or whatever. He stopped paying for the ad, something changed. But in reality is that the baristas who were working instead of him did not match the energy he kind of had in the months leading up to the coffee shop expanding. And it's like, it sounds very ridiculous because it's like one person working and it's a very small place. So people who were there every day expected that face, not that face as in his face, but someone who's warm, friendly, who kind of wants to chat with them, understand them, plays the right music. And it's always like standing in front of the coffee shop to kind of just talk, I guess. And yeah, I mean, the coffee wasn't good as well. And at some point he asked me like, it's a Russian coffee shop. Maybe that's important to mention because he asked me as someone who's not Russian, like, hey, I noticed you're not coming. What is happening? And I'm like, well, I came a few times and I don't know, I saw that you're not working, so I kind of just turned around and went home. And then I learned when he's not in the coffee shop to avoid going. I know. But this is like the foundation, and this kind of inspired me to think about what changed, because like it's the same coffee bean. I mean, it's the same milk, it's the same place, but something is different. And I guess that's the promise that was not there for me, because it wasn't what I expected. And he changed it, and again, I can't get my coffee because there's so many people waiting. But I mean, we successfully identified what it was. And the three main takeaways that I want you to kind of remember or to leave with, which is to stay true to who you are, to understand your audience, and then to deliver on the promise you made in the first place. Of course, this isn't really applicable to huge corporations because you cannot satisfy everyone, but there's always going to be a margin of error, and naturally people will just move along and then find a different place. But I'm not trying, like, I don't want to move, and I want the coffee place to be successful. So here we are. Questions? Shoot.
Not a very serious question. What happened next with the coffee shop?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean,
No, after they hired their own barista, and did you understood that the problem?
well, they now have different baristas. Oh, well.
Where are the old baristas?
Well, to be fully honest, I'm very sorry that this is being filmed, and I hope you're not listening. But it was like a beginner level barista, and it takes time to learn these things. I also want to be in that industry because I'm in a lot of different industries. You can probably guess by my shoes and pants. I'm in pottery or like drawing, so I'm very messy. But this is also one of the industries I want to be in, and it takes time. And it's simply people were not there to kind of have someone burn the milk or deliver something that's not what they expect from a small place. Because you can get like burnt milk from Starbucks. But yeah, they now have different people. Shoot.
So you went back on a lot of things that you said that you shouldn't do at the start. So does that mean that after you get some confidence in yourself, you should actually go over the things that they're not from the start? Do you have a little bit of explanation about that?
Yeah, so I did things wrong in the first place because I had no idea what I'm doing. And it's like a natural instinct for me to be like, this is my competitor, I want to be this. But I am not that, like I can mimic or, fake it till you make it. But it simply wasn't converting for me or like my studio. So what I did is that I literally kind of, just stepped aside and built the confidence to say, oh, I am this, and I'm targeting, well, specifically my studio targets marketing agencies who do not have full-time designers on there. So I'm offering a bit of a different service than a usual design studio, I would say. But it took the confidence to say, I am good at this, and I see you're offering this, but I can help you do it better. And I think confidence is the key, actually, to trust your gut and trust what you can do or what you built as a skill to do.
Basically, when you're trying to develop it, you should be unique with yourself, but then again, verify with, testing. Like you said, you have 3 ways of testing.
Absolutely. You should always test. And as I said, like it's even the competitors or things I told you like not to do, it's a good reality check. Because I do want to be as good as like Smith and Diction or Base Design or Wolf Ollens, name dropping very good studios. In reality, probably it's never going to happen. I'm in Belgrade, and I don't see how I can do it in a like 10-year span. But I do want to, and that's my kind of big aspiration. And it's good to kind of have it and see what you can take from it. Maybe it's the type of communication. Maybe it's how often their owners speak at different conferences. Maybe it's the type of design they do. You do you, but I think you shouldn't do it in the beginning, I think, because it can create like a false expectation for you, not necessarily for the audience. But you can start thinking, I can do this, and then copy all of those things. But in reality, you're copying and you're not kind of building you or your confidence. You're just like mimicking something.
Like before you actually get your own identity, it's going to be related to who actually is.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've been doing design for, well, officially I started in 2014, but I wasn't hired, I was volunteering, but I started working professionally in 2017. And to be honest, I don't think like the quality necessarily of the logos I design or something changed so much. It changed because of the trends or different industries or different clients, whatever. But I mean, I'm still who I am. But now, because I gave up on, let's say, copying or mimicking or taking inspiration, I know what my style is. So I changed my portfolio, I changed my website and everything to kind of have an offering that's always going to be in my comfort zone, which means also what I said about repelling the wrong audience. I know if there's someone who wants something like luxurious or modern, I mean, I do design modern things, but like luxurious, sophisticated, and so on, I'm not necessarily for them. I love color and I love something that's playful and kind of moving. So it's fine. I mean, I get a lot of people who reach out and they're like, can you do this for me? And I'm like, no, I'm shit at this. I can recommend someone who's good at this style, but not me. But that took a lot of confidence and it took courage because you're basically saying no to money. I mean, and we want to eat and drink expensive coffee. Any other questions? Perfect. I might be even ahead of the schedule, which is a first for me. I always talk a lot. So thank you very much. It was a pleasure, and thank you for having me at the event. It was super fun. Definitely, I had a big trema. You know, like my stomach was rambling, but I hope I did okay. Thank you.